Right, I'm in a different place today. It's actually Sunday morning and I have a job I want to do here, and that's fix this pothole. This pothole is opened up here at the bottom of our lane, and it's a prick of a thing because you have to go around it and take a run. We have a very steep hill going up to our house, and you need to get a good run at it when you're going up, and this pothole stops you from doing that. You have to kind of go way out and around it and such. And my father put a bit of cement on it, which wasn't a great job. You should never really put cement in with tar. It actually makes a bigger hole, and that's exactly what has happened here. I don't have enough to do it all today. I'm going to do half of it. As the fella says, I don't have enough to do a full hole, I have enough to do half a hole. Of course, would have been better if I had brought an actual brush with me. Forgot all about it. Much this will do. Now that's a hole filled. As I said, there's a small bit here. I need to get another bucket, definitely another full bucket, just to finish that bit. So I can hop that out, a little bit of cement. At least it leaves me with an edge just to fill up against, and then we can take that out and then finish it on another day. Now to finish this job right, really and truly a whacker plate is the job for it, to batter it down, just leave it really solid. But I don't have a whacker plate, but I do have a wife, and she has a car. I'm back, cross it there now, Sinead. By the way, Hudson. That's it. That's flattening it down nicely. Mind the post! Hey, alright, come on ahead. When you are using that stuff, you just feel it proud of the hole, because even with the rolling of the car there, it'll still go down another bit yet. And we have a milk lorry coming now, probably in a few hours time, and he'll pound it down, and we're going to be slurrying back and forth. It'll not be long getting pounded down, but it is quite solid now. Anyway, it's one of them little Sunday morning jobs. Let's get on to the next one. We're on our way over to the other farm here to use our dribble bar for the first time. I didn't bring my drone with me today because I'm only doing a couple of load over here, and it's going to be my training and practice because I've never used one of these before. Kind of an idea, I'm hoping that it'll work alright, so I need to kind of concentrate on what I'm doing and not be watching the drone here beside me. So until I get the hang of it, don't worry, we'll get loads of drone footage down the line of this machine working. And as I said before, I'll give you all the information you're looking for. Whatever questions you have when you see me doing a bit of shenanigans now, don't be afraid to throw them at me, but I'll help you if I know the answer. So I'm going to get up here now. We'll show you a little thing that I'm after doing, a little adjustment I'm after making to it, and we'll get set up and ready to use it for the first time. Just after throwing back the last little bit of silage to the heifers, they'll clean that up, and I'll come back over when I get this job done and put in a fresh new bale for them. The ringworm is definitely dying. I can see small little bits of hair coming back through it, so it's definitely dead. You can just tell by looking at it. I know if you look at this animal here, say for instance, see the way it's gone dark, it's not as bright anymore. She got the worst doing, definitely got the worst doing, her neck and head and everywhere, but her hair is definitely starting to come back through it now, so it's beat. So I'm happy with that. Now with this dribble bar, the last thing I was told when I was going out the gate when I bought it, and maybe it's the same with all dribble bars, they told me get it out into the field, open it out and see your height. So I did exactly that. I put it out onto the field, had a look at it, because you don't want the pipes dragging the ground, because that puts the dung all over the grass. You want it just to flow nicely on top of the grass. So that's how much I cut off it there. That's about 3.5 inches. Yeah, that's what I took off it, and that leaves me that my height at the moment is exactly what you see there, off the ground. I went by Mastek's advice, but I also went by a couple of people's advice that got one lately as well in the local area and have been using it for the past while, and they all say the same, around about that 3.5 to 4 inches maybe of pipe coming off. Don't go with what I tell you, I'm just telling you what I was told from local lads. That's what they have done, so that's what I'm after doing. It looks about right there now. I've never used this machine yet, you can see that by looking at it, so this is my first time, and by no means is the slurry perfect. Our slurry, along with loads of people this year, is very thick, and we didn't have that much rain over the winter time and not much water got into our tanks. We've already drew over some water over this tank here, and it's fierce well mixed, because I know when John was piping it, the same stuff over here, he said that's just borderline, that stuff, just borderline. So we'll see what we're doing. We're giving it a proper test. I'm going to fill it and we're going to get out in the field and see how it works. Now, another thing I don't like already on it is this handle here has to go up the whole way here to get the pipe on. So I have to catch these pipes here and pull them out to get the pipe on, to get that handle past it. So I'm probably going to have to put it onto this side. And that means the handle here will be here and nothing will hit it then. Another thing on the slurry pipe here, I have a hole, which isn't ideal. You can hear it hissing away down the background. I have a good pipe at home and I didn't bring it with me because I know there's a pipe here for offloading. And I know it's not great, but we only want to put out 3 loads, so we'll put up with it today. What's happening here? Oh, way too much oil, way too much. See that little drop? That's better. Right, we have our first tank full. We're off to the Wizard of Oz. Look at, I'm not going to do any fancy shots just at the first few load, because really I just need to concentrate on what I'm doing. But I want you guys to be with me with the first load, because I said I'd do that. And probably what I'm going to experience now is exactly what you'll experience when you get out your first go on a dribble bar. Stick on the old 4-wheel drive here. Right, this is the wet spot here. I'm praying that I'm making the right decision to go into it. Right in the middle of it. On the foot. But the first thing we'll do now is drop down the dribble bar arms. I have to get used to what the distance will be away from the fence. Right, we're not too bad there. And then when I flick it on here, red light comes on. That means that the hydraulics that runs the arms up and down have been now disconnected, and now we're running with the same spool we're running the macerator. So let's give it a go. Oh, we're moving. We are dribble barring. Our pipes are still too long. Yeah, definitely still too long. Alright, so mistake number 1. Just had a quick look at the manual there, and I made a mistake in that load. I was wondering why, when I pulled the lever back to get the macerator going, when I let it go, the flow seemed to stop. But I didn't realise when you move the switch from the boom to the macerator, you're supposed to pull the spool lever back and engage and keep it back so that the oil flow is running all the time. And I didn't do that. So first mistake made. There's no point in editing it out. This is what happens when you're testing a new machine. You're learning as you go along. No harm done. But now, at least I know that mistake. Solve that one. Mark it off the list. Let's get on to the next one properly. Oh dear. You gotta love it. At least the weather's good anyway. Can't put on tunes on the radio, so I'm making my own in my head. And yes, I like rave music. Scooter's number one. Watch me going here, Adrian. Watch me going. Just realising, Jonathan didn't actually miss that many places, in fairness to him. Right. What are we doing here now? Right, hold on a second now. Right, arms down. Let's do this professionally this time. Arms down. Alright. Now, lollipop open. PTO on, macerator engaged, in the right gear. Throwing on some fuel to the fire. And not. Oh dear. Turning on the pump properly would probably help, yeah. Just kind of a sequence you have to remember. Macerator on. There we go. Got flowing down now, center on, baby. Right, so we're down here now in the bottom of this field. Just giving you an idea of some of the steep ground. That's the shed over there. Do you see what you're looking into there? Well, that's a vertical drop straight down. If you come down here with your tanker, you're in trouble, because there is a serious drop down there. There used to be an old mill here, and you see that little trench? That trench was dug over to the river, which is over there another, probably another 500 yards. There's a river there, and this was dug off the river. An old mill that used to be way over here in the corner, whole way over along our land. So it's a dangerous place to walk. It's grand in the summertime. You just have to keep your wits about you of what you're doing. But anyway, this is the dribble bar bit that we just after doing here. And yeah, there, it's all there. I wasn't sure if I was doing right or not, because the pipes are too long, definitely too long yet. So I couldn't really see the slurry coming out because the pipes are rubbing the ground in places, which isn't the right way of doing it. But this is what I said. I'm not going to hide the way I do it in the first time. I'm going to show you guys what it's going to be like probably when you use your dribble bar for the first time, and we'll make improvements and we'll get the hang of it. Each time now I use it, I'm getting a little better and a little better. But anyway, that's it. This is a wet little corner here anyway, and it's a field that we're going to reseed. It's alright. It grew a lovely crop, if you remember, on our third cut, and we got our crone mower and we're mowing it for the first time. Remember I said it was a really nice crop, and it was, but it has the wet spots to spoil it, and it has places like over here, another terribly dangerous place. And that there, let me tell you, I don't know what way the camera shows it, places like that there would stand the hairs on top of your head. probably load number 10 for the day. I've lots of slurry done, lots of the hills done, lots of the awkward fields done. I'm getting on, I'm learning as I go along. I think I have kind of mastered it now. Just have to get my lines a bit straighter. You know what you guys are like with their lines, I like to have them as straight as a rush. Well, not that terribly straight. Sophia's here with me at the minute. She's going to give me a hand now. She's home from school, just to film this wee bit here so you guys can see it without the drone as well. The first few load that you see me with the GoPro on the silage ground was a bit of a mess, but I have to say, you do learn. You definitely learn. It takes a little bit of time to get used to all the handles and everything, the way everything is. And to be honest with you, the first night I had to actually make a phone call to a couple of people because I was very frustrated, and I did find out a lot of information and I was told just to give it another go. So it's always nice to actually step back from something and come back to it a different day, because I found then once I came back to it a different day, things went much better. Couple of days since I actually done that bit of slurry, and I've hooked it off here because we're actually after spreading our fertilizer on our silage ground yesterday morning. We had a bad old frost here for the last few nights, -2, -3, so I held off from sowing any fertilizer. I know they say it doesn't do any real harm, but for the price of it, I didn't want to take that chance because there is an old myth there that it might do some harm, so I just left it alone. But I spread it all there yesterday morning on the silage ground. That's it, completely done. I didn't do any grazing ground yet. And we got a nice bit of rain just as it was finished. It started to rain. It rained a wee bit last night as well, a nice little bit last night, and it's all washed in. But I'm just on a field here that I slurried, and you can see the lines here in different places. That's the lines there. Can you make that out? So it started to wash in well. So I'm walking a bit stiff today because I'm actually after hurting my back. I didn't lift anything or do anything wrong. I was actually gathering stones, a little bit of stones over on the other field for the past few days, just around silage fields and stuff. Home that night, sat down for a little while on a chair just at the kitchen table, got up and bang. Just sciatic nerve down the back of my leg. Yeah, it's not a very nice thing and it does hamper you quite a bit, so just put a heat pack on it, stick it out, and it does go away. But the dribble bar itself, a lot of people asked me after the last video, Adrian, you never fully explained what the machine actually does. And I didn't do that because I wanted to kind of do it on this video. I was always the kind of what I was thinking of doing. So, just to give you a real lowdown of what a dribble bar actually does versus a splash plate, just for you guys that aren't maybe in the farming community and want to know what these contraptions is that you see all around the road and on different farms as you're going from place to place. So basically it's very simple. Just to keep it really, really simple. On a normal slurry tanker, you would have this on the back of it. This is called a lollipop. And you would have a pipe coming out of here that sends in hydraulic oil here. So the ram pushes up, it lifts this little plate that's in here, slurry comes out. Once you reverse the hydraulic pressure, the spring itself just pushes the thing down. It's not a double acting ram, so the spring is used just to push it straight back down again. You'll see this on nearly every slurry tanker on the road. And on the back of this then you would fit a splash plate. A splash plate would be the traditional thing that would have been on every slurry tanker up until very lately. All a splash plate is basically a little kind of a cone shaped piece of rubber that narrows down to an opening, and then in front of that rubber you have a kind of steel plate that kind of sits like this. In front of it, slurry comes out under pressure, hits that plate that's probably about that there away from the front opening of the rubber, and then splashes the slurry out wide to both sides and all over the grass, and hence the reason it's called a splash plate. That's exactly what it does. Simple, straightforward, always done the trick. But now with greenhouse gases and everything changing and new regulations coming in all the time, this is the most basic machine you can buy now that comes under what we call low emission slurry spreading. So lower emission slurry spreading basically means the slurry isn't getting splashed up in the air anymore, so far less ammonia is getting released into the atmosphere. With this system, the slurry comes out of the back of the tanker here, and rather than coming out through the splash pit, the traditional way. Now you'll see the lollipop is in here. And it's the very same system as here, and this one here is just different. It doesn't have a spring because it's what we call a double acting lollipop. So basically the oil pressure will open and close it, and it doesn't need the spring. So when you open this, the slurry will come up here into this guy here, which is the macerator. All a macerator is, imagine a wheel inside spinning. There's a plate on this side and a plate on this side, and they're spinning fast, and on the end of them plates there's little knives, and them little knives run tight along here on both sides. The slurry comes up the middle, and before it can go down through the pipes out onto the dribble bars themselves, it chops it up. It leaves it fine that nothing goes into these pipes and stuffs the pipes. That's what the macerator does. It also creates a vacuum which drives the slurry down through these pipes and out through the dribble bar booms themselves. The benefits then over the splash pit obviously is less ammonia released into the atmosphere. But another thing that I like about it more than anything is when the slurry is splashed up in the air, you're losing 50% of the nutrients from that actual slurry. When you're using a dribble bar system like this, you're only losing 20. Because it's going straight to ground, less of it's getting released into the atmosphere, more nutrients is getting into the ground, so obviously you'd expect a much better response from the grass. That is a basic system. There are trailing shoes and direct injections, which reduces it even more. So that's what we're going for. We're going for getting more nutrients into the ground and less loss of ammonia up into the atmosphere. Another thing about it is, you can look at this field. Do you see the slurry? The slurry that I put in this field, as soon as I had it done, you nearly wouldn't notice it. And if that was the splash pit, this field would be brown, all covered in dung. The unfortunate part of that is it delays the amount of time then you can get cattle back into the field, because no animal is going to walk into a field and want to eat grass that's covered in dung. Obviously enough, you wouldn't want to do it yourself, and especially then if it's dry weather, because it can take far longer for that to come off the grass. It can stay in the grass leaf, and then you can really have a long period between times before cows just come into a paddock. It looks all good, but they know it, they can smell it, and they're not happy and they don't want to eat it. I've seen that numerous times. With this here, you can see you just have a line between the grass. The grass leaf itself is not harmed or not dirtied in any way. It's just little small rows in between the grass. And that is going to speed up the process much faster when we get our cows back into this field. We don't have to wait near as long because the grass isn't all covered in slurry, and that's the number one thing that I do like about it. Look, that's keeping it real simple without getting too technical. There's loads of organisations and other channels out there can go into more specifications about everything if you want to find out about that, and can talk about it much better than I can, but that just gives you kind of a simpler version of what it is. Now, another thing gets asked a lot is speed. Do you have to travel any faster with the tank with the dribble bar on? I haven't done enough with it to be fully sure, but I think you do. I think you have to travel a considerably bit faster, because it does tend to empty. In my opinion, it tends to empty an awful lot quicker. I haven't used it enough just to be positively sure, but I think it does. I think you do have to drive faster. I got some great information from Farmer Phil from Jerry 6420 on bits and pieces when I'm using it, which is absolutely great. But I was speaking to Tom Pemberton on the phone, and Tom put in the very same system as I have. It's the exact same one, and if you guys watch his channel, you notice his land is all flat, and he reckoned that it wasn't coming out near as fast as with the splash plate. I don't know, people have different theories. I thought the other. I thought it was emptying much faster. You guys can comment down below yourselves. Maybe every dribble bar is different, but we have a lot to do with it yet before we really find out what the major differences is. But anyway guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going down to put a heat pack in this bag because I am absolutely crippled. A new line of merch is just after landing in our shop. So you have school bags, sports bags, lunch bags. We have 2 new mugs. I know a lot of you guys were asking for mugs. There's ages. And finally, we got around to adding them to the shop. We have different colours in our body warmers and loads of other stuff. So go over there and check it out if it's something that might interest you. Otherwise, if you enjoy our content, as always, hit that sub button. It helps push the channel along. You can give us a like there if you want. And until the next one, we'll talk to you again.